Good morning and welcome. My name is Sarah Carlson and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors. And if you would like more information about the fellowship, please sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org/guestbook. And we also have a welcome table in the other room. And whether you're joining us at home or in the fellowship hall, we invite you to stay after the service where you can introduce yourself and join in conversation with kindred spirits. And I understand there's a few treats out there today. Yay! As you've probably noticed, we have a full house today and on most Sundays now. So if we need your help. First, if you're here today in the fellowship and your row has some empty seats, take a moment to change seats and move towards the center aisle, leaving the outer seats for visitors and latecomers. And second, we need everyone who drove here today to think about where they parked and driving alternatives. If you're able to walk from the upper lot to the building, please be sure to reserve the lower lot for those who have more mobility challenges and for some of our visitors. And if you're able to carpool or bike or Segway, scooter, whatever, please do. And we've had a lot of compliments today lately, and it's nice to see so many all at once during one service. Making some small adjustments will help us to keep one service as long as possible. Thank you for your help. So, on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you into this sacred space. Here we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. My name is Amy Slagle, and I serve here on the Sunday Services Committee. Our opening words this morning are excerpted from Reverend Douglas Taylor's Meditation on Courage and Vulnerability. I am learning to let down my guard. We all know about the deep instinct to respond to difficulty and stress with either fight or flight, with force or swift retreat, with decisive attack or prompt withdrawal. When faced with stress or difficulty or challenge, I am learning to let down my guard. I am learning to be vulnerable. I am seeking the courage to be open. I would have my vulnerability be a choice made from my courage rather than my fear. I would have my vulnerability be my strength. I am still learning. I seek the courage to be so vulnerable. May I have others who can help me to be so courageous. May my examples serve others as well as myself. And may my strength be our strength in sharing this life openly with others. Please rise in body and or spirit to join in singing our opening song, number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me. That's why we go through it once.
song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home, where hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home, when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
We light our chalice this morning with these words from Lindsay Bates. To face the world's shadows, a chalice of light. To face the world's coldness, a chalice of warmth. To face the world's terrors, a chalice of courage. To face the world's turmoil, a chalice of peace. May its glow fill our spirits, our hearts, and our lives. And I invite Riley up to the podium, and she has a story for the Time for All Ages.
We actually had a last minute book change, so we do not have scanned pictures. So I'll be sitting and reading. But 2 announcements. Again, our Wednesday night potlucks are starting next week, and we would love it if everyone could come to join us for that. Our youth group then will be meeting right after that at 6:45, and so we'd love it if everyone could be there. And additionally, if you would like to read as well, we would love it if other people would come read, because after a while, it's boring if I just read the entire time. So if you're very interested in reading a book for the Time for All Ages, please let me or Sam know. Definitely, we would love to have other people come up here and read as well. And our book for today is Pass It On by Sophie Hahn. Sorry. Excuse me. All right. Pass It On, Sophie Hahn. Thank you. When you see something terrific, smile a smile and pass it on. If you chance upon a chuckle, hee hee hee, and pass it on. If something happens that's amazing, whoop it up and pass it on. Should you spot a thing of wonder, jump for joy and pass it on. With all the smiles you've made and the joy you've spread about, you'll fill the worlds a little nicer, and those smiles a little brighter. Sometimes the fun and glee aren't in their usual place, but search around, there's always some, a hum, a hug, a happy place. So when the sky is gray and rainy, you'll know just what to do. Grab your wellies and your coat, splash a smile, and pass it on. If you feel a little lonely, don't let that worry you. Just branch out, see who's there. Find someone fun and pass it on. And when you least expect it, like a bolt out of the blue, a smile or a chuckle will be passed right back to you. Enjoy that happy moment. Let that feeling fill you up. Then have a ball, raise the roof, kick your heels, and pass it on. The end. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to time for our
First reading this morning is from Peter Senge, The Fifth Discipline, The Art and Practice of the Learning Organization. A shared vision is not an idea. It is not even an important idea, such as freedom is. It is rather a force in people's hearts, a force of impressive power. It may be inspired by an idea, but once it goes further, if it is compelling enough to acquire the support of more than one person, then it is no longer an abstraction. It is palpable. People begin to see it as if it exists. Few, if any, forces in human affairs are as powerful as a shared vision. One committee of the UUFA that has had a powerful shared vision is our generosity team. They have worked tirelessly the past few months to prepare our fall giving campaign, and it has worked crucial to this community for its survival and for strengthening its impact on our environment. The committee is chaired by the amazing Sue Kierson, who is going to share an update with us now.
Thank you, Amy. She said she wasn't going to give me an introduction, but I begged her to. So David and I are here for the generosity team this morning. And today is the last you'll be hearing from us about our annual budget drive. Kind of sad, don't you think? But we want you to know a few things. One, you are amazing. You have responded with enthusiasm and support for our future. We have 10 new sustaining givers, making a total of 101. Those are promises of ongoing gifts, along with increased pledges, new givers, other responses that we just welcome totally. And one of our very favorite things in the world, quick responses. 2, thank you. Thank you for knowing what it takes and for saying, I'm all in. 3, the other members of the generosity team, all creative thinkers and people who are willing to experiment. Really, I love that part. Molly Helmers. Molly was here the first Sunday. I think of her as our wordsmith, along with other things. Melissa Neeson, who you saw on the big screen last Sunday. Kitty Fisher, who connects us with the Sunday Services Committee. Sam Wormley, who has been involved with this from the beginning and is our video star in this week's weekly email on Friday. I hope you saw it. And our congregational administrator, Bradley, who we think of as a magician who makes everything happen. I'm sorry he's not here today. He keeps the most beautiful records. He reads minds, and truly, he does even more than he promises. 4, just in case you were wondering, it's not too late to respond. Since we're still working our way through this new pattern of sustaining giving, and I feel like we may have some questions out there. And if so, please catch me after the service to ask me or contact Bradley in the office. And 5, we invite you, all of you, to the Generosity Celebration, which will be held in connection with our annual meeting in December. December 11th, I think it is, to be exact. So we want to close the year on a high note. Thank you so much. And now, the most fun. David Slade has a new song, and he'll introduce it himself.
Yeah, this is an adaptation of a favorite of mine, The Rainbow Connection. So I apologize for those of you who think this is somehow blasphemy. But we felt at the end of the giving campaign, it was important to remind folks of the principles, the UU principles, because a lot of us don't pay much attention to them. I haven't looked at them very closely for years. Those of you who are new may never have read them. So as a guide, there are 7. So in the song, if you're trying to keep track, there are 7. I'm getting through. But this was just a way of setting it to music as a way of, well, there's 8. I'm sorry, Sam's right. There's an 8th principle that was added this year in 2021. I didn't make it. I ran out of space in the song. So this is a legacy treatment of the principles. So I apologize because the 8th principle is very important, but I only have so much room. So anyway, so this is a way of sort of helping to keep the principles forefront in our minds as we go into our giving and our year. We all need reminders of our cherished values and how they allow us to thrive. The UU has principles for this very purpose. They help keep our values alive. And Principle 1 says we all are so worthy and deserve to be valued and loved. Someday we'll make it, the Rainbow Connection, the UUs, the dreamers, that's us. And Principle 2 says to treat one another with compassion and equality. And Principle 3 says accept everyone and help them grow spiritually. Which Principle says to seek truth and meaning. It's the responsible 4th. Someday we'll make it, the Rainbow Connection, the UUs, the dreamers, of course. 5 is conscience and democracy, both here and in society. Principle 6 says to pursue a goal of community that's peaceful and just and fair. While 7 reminds us we depend on each other in the web of existence we share. And we've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that we're supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da do. La da 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 dee da do.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning, a sharing community where our joys are amplified, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. It's a tradition in our community to take this moment to share our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support we have for one another. It's a time for sharing, not for announcements. If you would like, you may come forward to the microphone over here for those in Fellowship Hall to state your name, share a joy or sorrow, and I will light a milestone candle for you. And after those in Fellowship Hall have finished, we'll transition to those who are with us online to share their milestones. This is a time for sharing.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dennis Dake. It's on my name tag. And I have the pleasure of serving as the chair of the Art Exhibition Committee here in terms of organization. And I do not do this alone. I've started in 1982 doing this, and we've had an unbroken chain until COVID shut this place down. And I think that it's appropriate to make this a milestone, and a wonderful, joyous milestone for me, because if you've looked around on the walls, you see there's no longer the work that's been up here since November, which was the only work I could think to put up, which was a lot of old paintings of mine. And you've had to deal with that for a while. But the Art Exhibition Committee has started to meet again. We've started to accumulate lots of interested artists. We had a whole year planned in 2020 when we suddenly had to shut down and break the whole tradition of 40 years nearly of having continuous shows. The show that's up here, I have to give a milestone to, is by Mike Mittermeier. There's a little bit about him out on the bulletin board out here. If you went to the Octagon Arts Festival, you saw he was selling his work there. He's from Urbandale, Iowa, and he's made his living his whole adult life with his artwork. So these works are all for sale. We didn't get the price tags and the names up on each one, but they are available if you're interested. So I would appreciate it if you love these things, if you would help him out. He's given it to us for this month only. He's got several other big art shows, and he's selling out everything he's got practically. So he managed to save a few things for us last weekend on Sunday when he was down in downtown, and brought them over here. And some of my worker bees, it's nice that Bob is standing, because I was going to ask all the members who are here of the Art Exhibition Committee to stand if they would. So if you just stand up for a minute, because you don't get a lot of, but the hardworking. Finding artists, approving artists, because it's a group decision to maintain the quality of what we present to you here. We have a mission statement that has two parts, just to take a moment here for those of you that are new. We have a mission statement. One is to provide a spiritually enriching art and creativity. So we hope that you find something in this exhibit and every future exhibit to really enjoy, and perhaps if you like, you can enrich the artist a bit. And we do take a small commission, which we are saving for a large sculpture we hope to eventually have here on the grounds in honor of the 40 years of artists who've given us their work to enjoy for about 8 weeks. But Mike can only afford 4 weeks. He's got 2 big more art shows here. So get used to it in a very quick time. And if you find something you like, you can talk to Bradley. He has the list of the names of the works and the price for the works. So that's not just to make it seem crass and trying to get more of your money after the generosity moment here for the fellowship. But I do want to emphasize that, because in addition to providing, I hope, this enrichment, which goes with the music and the words that you hear on Sunday, I hope you will find that our other part is valuable too, because we have offered these artists the use of the facility here to have artist receptions. I'm not sure whether Mike will want one, but if the artist asks for it, we have big receptions in the evening and have usually wine and cheese and things. And we've had up to 300 people here from all over the community. And I like to think that that's really wonderful. Some people have never been in the building. And so we have an outreach facility. And because of that, we're part of ACAC, the Ames Community Arts Council. And we get a lot of publicity for the fellowship and for the exhibits that we have here. And I like to think this is spreading the word of Unitarianism for the other part of our mission. So that's a long milestone, but it's really a significant one for me, because it's been really hard the last couple of years to not have anyone here to appreciate the art. There's no point in hanging a lot of things if there's nobody to complete the creative act by enjoying it. So please enjoy, and thank you on behalf of all the people who worked so hard to keep the exhibit program going here. That's my milestone.
I am Wesley Shank. I have a milestone of great joy. My family in Temple Terrace, Florida, close to Tampa, came through the storm with no damage to house or any people there. And I knew that early Thursday morning, and I'm very grateful. There are my daughter, Jennifer Cass Stevens Shank, her husband, and 3 progeny there. And this could have been a milestone of great sorrow today. I'm thankful, very thankful.
My name is Bob. It's good to get back here in the building. I've been here once or twice in the last 3 years, but it's great to be back. I have a joyous occasion I'm celebrating, and it's the 4th birthday of my darling granddaughter, Hazel Jean, who lives in Minneapolis with our son and his baby brother, who's a year and a half. I have a sorrow that I want to share. We've had a suicide in our family that came very much as a surprise to us, and it happened it's been almost a month now, and so it's been very difficult dealing with that. And in October, our theme is courage, so we need to be courageous when we have these challenges. Thank you.
My name is Nancy Tepper. I have 2 milestones. The first, since I don't think anyone else is mentioning it, is the former member Andrew Williams, who lives in Florida, and I can't tell you the town, did have substantial damage to his home, and his city has had significant damage. He himself had evacuated, and he is okay. Second is I had a wonderful opportunity yesterday to be part of a celebration of a life that was here at this fellowship. We all know the quotes were made by Carmen Slater, and his partner, Don Randall, died rather suddenly on, I believe it was September 9th. And there was a celebration at Actors yesterday with his family. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people didn't know about it. but it was very, very meaningful to be there with Kerman and his family and reflect on the life that Donald lived.
Well, I'm Lily, and a couple of updates to what I shared last week. My cousin TJ made it home and is in good spirits and very happy to be home and clean. And my friend I'd mentioned about her surgery coming up, actually, I found out coincidentally marks the 20th anniversary of my wedding with my partner coming up on the 5th. So I was actually quite thankful for that, and I'm finding a little bit of joy this morning amongst some sorrow yesterday, but I will be wonderfully fine. Thank you.
I'll light a candle for those folks who were affected by the hurricane. There's a lot of people in Florida that are hurting right now, and a lot of times it's the most vulnerable and those with the fewest resources. We'll transition now. If you hold these milestones, those in the fellowship hall, while we transition to our online congregants and open that up for milestones.
I'm Irv Kloss, and I'd like Is it okay? I'm getting huge feedbacks. Anyway, I'd like to call your attention to a event this afternoon at 1:30 at the St. Cecilia Catholic Church, in which they're going to be inviting individuals from various faith groups in Ames to come and talk about what they're doing to battle climate change. And our fellowship will be represented by Mary Richards, and she will have a minute to say everything that we've done, which is a big challenge. So see if you can go. It would be, I think, an inspiring event. And thank you to St. Cecilia for sponsoring it.
In the days and weeks to come. A mission statement is a short statement announcing why an organization exists. It shares its purpose or overall goal of the organization. The mission statement of the UUFA proclaims that we are here to support each other in growing spiritually, creating community, striving for justice, and learning to love. The vision of the UUFA grows directly out of the mission statement. It shares what we intend to do, what we want to become. Grow spiritually. We will support each person's journey of spiritual growth. We will meet the variety of spiritual needs and worship style preferences represented by in our fellowship. We will live our lives to reflect the UU principles and the UUFA covenant. Creating community. We will welcome all people, embrace diversity, and integrate everyone into our beloved community. We will build relationships across the fellowship. We will invest our time, talents, and money to the growth and vitality of the UUFA. We will join together with the larger community to accomplish our goals. Striving for justice. We will build a climate for all types of justice within the UUFA. We will be catalysts for change on all justice issues. Learning to love. We will practice listening to one another deeply and without judgment. We will learn to love ourselves, each other, and the world. Each month, we set aside half of our plate offering and all of our online offering recipient donations to support an organization. For the month of October, the children in religious education were invited to select a monthly recipient. Given their recommendation, half of our offertory will go to the Ames Community School District to help students in need. The district seeks to empower students of all situations to their potential. They further this goal through student and family advocates that serve as resource liaisons, the Hope Pantry where food and clothing donations are distributed, and assistive lunch programs. Contributions in October will specifically go toward these programs. And during the offertory, we'll enjoy more special music from David Slade as he shares Peter Mayer's Everything is Holy Now.
Such a nice intro. When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Oh, everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. A wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. And so the challenging thing becomes, and not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath. It's like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate, hand me down. I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Oh, read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. And see another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. Oh, 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 everything is holy now.
Thank you, David. If our mission statement declares why the UUFA exists and the vision statement shares what we will become, it's the UUFA covenant that is the document that articulates the commitments, the promises that we aim to make to one another as we engage in the work of accomplishing this mission and vision. Our covenant answers the question, how will we support healthy relationships in our community? Adopted a decade ago, the covenant of the UUFA, a product of many meetings and soup suppers, and if memory serves, some wonderful input from our youth. It helped our members reset attitudes and ways of being together that were needed at that time. Today, during this interim time, this regathering time, we have the opportunity not only to renew our covenant with one another, but also to be thoughtful about the current needs of our community and whether we want to have new ways to talk about how we engage one another in this fellowship. I invite you to rise in body and/or spirit and engage in a responsive reading of our UUFA covenant. to deepen our connections with one another and to model compassionate and effective relationships for all those who seek our message of hope and commitment to justice, we adopt this covenant. We make this promise to live our Unitarian Universalist principles in our interactions with one another, mindful of the larger mission and purpose of our religious community. To value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we strive to listen deeply and check our understandings, to make space for our diverse backgrounds, needs, gifts, and passions. To enhance the possibilities of justice, equality, and compassion in human relations, we strive, speak from our best intentions, and assume the good intentions of others. To communicate directly with people when disagreements arise, to voice our appreciation generously, to speak compassionately to and about one another, to accept one another and encourage spiritual growth. We strive to interact with others as they are, not as we imagine them to be patient and forgiving with one another and with ourselves, to give help and ask for help as we need it, to remember our principles whenever we gather together, to support the right of conscience and honor the democratic process. We strive to bring our good ideas and generous spirits to our community, to respect one another, to honor our decision-making processes. Aware that our joy is more joyful, our tears more healing, our service more effective, our laughter more real, and our interdependence more vivid when shared in loving community. We strive to honor the spirit of this covenant, our relationships with this religious community, and with the wider world. Amen. Thank you. Please remain standing. We're going to sing Song 402. We'll do it at least 3 times. By the second or third time, I invite you maybe to turn, sing to each other a little bit. It's a simple one. From you I receive.
Good morning, dear friends. I'm privileged to spend a few minutes with you today and to introduce myself and share a few thoughts. My name is Mike Frankum. I am currently the Secretary-Treasurer on the Fellowship Board. When people ask where I'm from, it's sort of a complicated matter, so I'll try to keep it simple. Only discussing places I lived for more than a year. I was born in Utah. I lived in Poland and France, and now I live here in Ames, all for more than a year. I'm married. I can't go without mentioning my wonderful wife, Meredith. And just a small tidbit about me, my heart is in the visual arts, and my profession is in finance. But today I'd like to speak for a moment about more of a spiritual journey. I came from a very religious environment where a loving family encouraged faith, where community provided solace, where scripture provided answers, and where obedience was the higher law. I was all in. And I had eventually what many people would call a faith crisis, but I would prefer to call a truth crisis. The indoctrination of my youth would no longer stand up to the methods of scientific inquiry, historical veracity, the stringencies of modern textual analysis, the imperative. Of love. The demands of justice, and eventually my own internal moral compass. I found myself experiencing a change of heart. And much of this happened while I was living in Europe, in a very secular state, France, while working with people from 34 different countries on a project. I was consistently confronted with perspectives that differed from mine. And I learned to be open to the idea that my way might not be the right way, but one of many varying approaches. Eventually, cognitive dissonance became too much, and the pressure to conform to the religious values that I grew up with, but now found problematic, yielded to my need to be true to myself, to a higher set of core values. And despite significant family, social, and personal consequences, I left the religion of my youth. For some time, I experienced what some call the dark night of the soul. A period of mourning and reflection. Mourning for the loss of the idyllic religious stories and heroes that I grew up with. The loss of community support that had surrounded the loyal believer. But later, subtly, if not overtly, shunned the former believer. It was a period of reflection about the trajectory of my spiritual life, or maybe better said, if there would be a trajectory to my spiritual life. Enter the UUFA. It is said that Unitarian Universalism is a chosen faith, and many of us have journeyed to this faith rather than being born in it. Upon returning to the United States, I found the UUFA, and it seemed to be a great option for someone with an agnostic atheist point of view, but still cared to spend time with community. So I chose the UUFA, excuse me, and it's had a significant positive impact on my spiritual journey. Unitarian Universalism allowed me to act according to the dictates of my own conscience, while still participating in a community of like-minded people. Like-minded in the sense that we may not believe alike, we may not agree, but we choose to love alike. A faith not based on dogma, but where ideas can be shared and challenged, where ideals are grounded in higher level principles, as we heard earlier, where it is ours to freely and responsibly search for truth and meaning. Almost 4 years ago, Reverend Kent McCusick helped me open the door to reimagining my own spirituality. So from the UUFA mission, I would highlight the growing spiritually element. People define and experience spirituality in different ways, and that's wonderful. Spirituality helps one better disconnect from the stresses and worries of life. to experience awe, and to see ourselves in a broader context. For me, this comes as a feeling, an intuition of interconnectedness with the earth, my fellow humans, the universe. I connect with some of those things through movies, books, through contemplation and meditation. Quietly staring into a vast starry expanse, finding my own insignificance, all at the same time realizing there's some significance there in us. And sometimes I feel a spiritual connection in this room alongside you, stirred by the words of a sermon or piqued by a moment of musical bliss. Sometimes it's during a tender moment in a sharing in soul matters, and sometimes from the connectedness of community I feel when I meet and participate with the Ames Freethinkers and Rationalists, the Art and Exhibition Committee, and sometimes even in board meetings. So thank you for whatever part you have, perhaps unknowingly, played in my spiritual journey. Thank you. For helping me see the morning sunlight after my dark night of the soul. In the end, this is why I'm here, because I feel spiritually connected and fed at the UFA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing what brought you to the UFA and some of what you have found here. In the short time that remains, and we will go a little long today, I think it's worth the opportunity to have some conversation here in this space before we're released to continue our conversations and sharing with one another. I do want to have a moment in the fireside room to speak with someone you don't already know. I'm assuming most of you sitting here today came in with someone you knew, so I'll ask you to be, every other row kind of turn to somebody behind you to engage in a brief conversation. And before I make anybody too anxious, I know not everyone will want to engage today. I don't want to make the morning hard for you. You can simply say, peace be with you, or instead of sharing, you can stand, take in the art, look at the quilts, look at the woods, and we'll take a moment here. It can be hard to hear in a noisy room, so I understand why people may not want to engage in some conversation. But I'll ask you to ponder a question. We'll also go briefly in Zoom to some breakout rooms, and we'll see how this all goes. But I just want to invite you to introduce yourself to someone and to answer the question, what brought you to the UUFA? And that may be today. What brought you here? Not your car. What brought you here to join us? What brought you here to join as a member or a friend? What do you find intriguing about this place right now? And we'll take just about 3 minutes to have this conversation in this room. Thank you. I am so happy to hear the hubbub in this room, but I'm going to interrupt you too. No, 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 we're just done. Open the doors. We could. So I invite you to return to your seats as we invite our Zoom folks out of their breakout rooms. I hope you met someone new. I thank you for taking the risk and having a conversation. Our interim minister, A.J. Galazin, called on us in August during one of his early services to share our stories with one another. Our engagement with others here helps us to be known, even as we strive to build a UUFA community that is also known for something. Our closing song today, we'll get there, is titled We Shall Be Known. It's a sing-along. So the video will start. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with the UU The Vote Thrive choir. They go through the song twice. Please rise in body or spirit.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these vines. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we cry. It is time we lead ourselves into the way. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these eyes. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the way. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
We extinguish our chalice this morning with these words from Leslie Fales. All that we have been separately and all that we will become together is stretched out before and behind us like stars scattered across a canvas of sky. We stand at the precipice, arms locked together like tandem skydivers working up the courage to jump. Hello. Hello. Tell me, friends, what have we got to lose? Our fear of failure? Our mistrust of our own talents? What have we got to lose? A poverty of the spirit? The lie that we are alone? What wonders await us in the space between the first leap and the moment our feet, our wheels, whatever we move our bodies across this precious earth, touch down softly on unknown soil? What have we got to lose that we can't replace with some previously unimaginable joy? Thank you so much for being with us this morning. May we each leave with more courage to share who we are and what we seek. May we be brave enough to talk about things that matter. Blessings on your week.